Hi everybody, this is JJ Long from JJArtworks, and thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 of my 5-part series on mental health awareness, and specifically the 4 manic episodes I had, including the 1 depressive episode I had. Before I sort of get into the second manic episode I just wanted to kind of piggyback on episode 1 and let you know I did some quick research. So those statistics for the amount of people in the world that have mental illness, so globally, is 1 in 8 people, and then 1 out of 5 people in America have mental health illness. And that doesn't include the families that are affected by mental health illness. So if you have there's a good chance that you might have a family member that is affected by mental health issues, and it does affect the family in a big way. I can't explain to you all the love and support my family has given to me over the past decade since I've been mentally ill, and what I've sort of put them through all these manic episodes and depressive episodes. And I honestly would not be here today if it wasn't for their love and support. So I really, as much value that I want to add to people that are suffering from depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, multiple personalities, suicidal thoughts, as much as I want to add value to like people that feel the same way I do, I also want to add value to the families as well, because this is something that can really take a toll on families, and I'm here just to help out as much as humanly possible and try to add as much value to your life as humanly possible. You're not alone, and I love you guys. So let me get into my second manic episode. This was probably the most craziest and detrimental manic episode I experienced, so this video might be a little bit longer, but I will do my best to sort of remember all of the key points and takeaways from this episode. It was pretty crazy, and I went through a lot, so bear with me because there's a lot to digest. So around this time that I experienced my first manic episode, I'd also launched an acting career. So I didn't start acting until my early 30s, and my sister is also an actress, my sister Tiffany, and she sort of inspired me to start this acting journey because I just saw the confidence that she had as a person, and she's a phenomenal actress, and I kind of wanted to follow in her footsteps a little bit. So I was like, you know what, let's give this acting thing a try. I'm already singing, and I'm doing painting and music, so let's try acting. That's another art form I haven't tried, right? So I gave it a try. I was taking classes, and the reason why I'm kind of prefacing this manic episode with the acting is because my sister and I acted in a lot of scenes together. And before my second manic episode, I think the weekend before my second manic episode, I was acting in a scene with my sister at a workshop in Boston. And it was a fight scene, like an argumentative type scene. It was actually a sibling scene where we weren't physically hurting each other, but it was a really meaty, just a horrific scene as far as like verbally just yelling at each other and stuff like that. So and that's totally not the relationship I have with my sister. We would never yell at each other, we'd never argue, but we would try to get into character, and it was a really, really difficult scene to pull off because the natural JJ would never yell at any of my siblings, and this was the first time where I was literally in a scene with my sister and I had to yell at her, sort of. So anyways, a couple of days after the scene, or maybe a week after we had that scene in Boston, I was still kind of manic, and I knew that something was off. I knew that I was still kind of elevated. I was trying to downplay it. Another thing that I feel goes through someone's mind when you're manic is you want to kind of downplay how manic you are so you don't appear as crazy to other people. So I would maybe squeak in a white lie here and there, like, how you feeling, JJ? Oh, I'm feeling great, things are going awesome, oh, that manic episode before, that was just a bleep in the radar, and really deep down inside I was struggling, and I knew that I was kind of still on edge manic, but I was trying to, it's the actor in me to sort of downplay that, right? And I have other friends that have done that as well, and I totally get it. You don't want to feel damaged and broken when you're manic. So I'll just kind of zip to the key points here. So basically, I was just in a tough spot, and I needed someone to talk to, and I was trying to get my sister's attention. At the time, we were living together at their condo in Lowell, my sister and brother-in-law's condo, and my sister was getting ready for a comedy set, actually at Nick's Comedy Stop in Boston, and she was rehearsing. But I really needed someone to talk to, and my sister's like my best friend, right? So I'm like, Tiff, come on, I need you to talk to me. I need help. And immediately I slipped into the character that we were practicing, the weekend before. And I was somewhat comfortable yelling at her because I had a character hangover from the workshop we had just done. So I'm yelling. She's like, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, I need your help. Like, something's going on, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, JJ, I gotta rehearse. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, I need your help. And I ended up like throwing her phone, or my phone, I think it was her phone, against the fridge. I never physically hurt her, but it was the first time where I sort of scared her. And I ended up leaving the house, or she ran out of the house, and I chased after her, and then I locked the door on her so she couldn't get in. And she's like, why are you locking me out of the house? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I unlocked the door, she ran in. I think she might have locked the door. I went to my car, and I just started crying. I was like, I don't know what's going on, God. I don't get it, but you need to give me answers, man. Like, this is just a very, very horrible place to be. I just yelled at my sister. I don't know what's going on. So my sister ended up calling my parents, and my dad came to Lowell. We were living in Lowell at the time, and my dad came to Lowell to pick me up, and he brought me to our childhood home in Melrose. And he's like, just sit down, take it easy, just go on the deck. We'll go on the deck. We'll have some hamburgers and hot dogs and just chill out, I think he was like, also get in touch with your therapist. So I was trying to get in touch with my therapist, and I couldn't get a hold of her, I believe. And before, this is so crazy, but the way my brain thinks, when you're manic, it happens very, very fast, and people can't get a word in edgewise when you're talking fast. But my dad did kind of bring me down a notch. But we were sitting outside on my parents' deck, and our yards are, directly, we get a fence going around the perimeter of our yard, but I have neighbors like all around us. There's probably like 4 houses around us. And I heard a noise over at my neighbor's house. And of course, these were neighbors we didn't know. And I somehow, and I don't know how I convinced myself of this, but I somehow convinced myself that the president of the United States at the time, Barack Obama, was trapped in an underground bunker in my neighbor's house. So what I did was I jumped the fence, and I'm like looking through cars, I'm going to different houses, like trying to turn the knobs, knocking on houses and everything. It's a very embarrassing thing to admit, but I want to share my authentic self with all of you. And it's so embarrassing, but I feel like sharing my story is something that's important. I really encourage all of you to share your own story. So knocking on doors, trying to turn knobs, looking through cars, and I see this porch that's connected to this deck that's connected to this guy's house. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna go through the side door, like right off their porch, and I'm gonna barge in. And I told you guys before in episode 1 where when I'm manic, I feel like all cameras are on me, or all eyes are on me. I feel like I'm being monitored by the CIA, the FBI, the Illuminati, whoever. Like, there's just this type of, I feel like people are watching me. And I somehow convinced myself that this was part of a reality show. What's JJ gonna do? He's trying to save the president. What is he gonna do? And I just, boom, totally barreled my way through this guy's door, the screening door, the slider door. Boom, went right through it, took the door off the hinges, and the husband was there, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, where's Barack? And he's like, what? And he's like, get out of my house. And I'm like, no, I gotta find Barack. And he runs out of the house, calls the police. I'm going through his house like the Tasmanian devil, trying to, going through rooms, just being completely exhibiting some very, very odd behavior that is not sane at all. It's like I said, it's euphoria. It feels like I'm invincible, but on the outside looking in, it's the most extreme behavior you've ever seen. And I'm in the stranger's house, and I'm literally in his house, just like ransacking his house. Like I wasn't like moving furniture or anything like that, but I was like looking in every room. The guy, the husband calls the police. Also, this is a quick side note. Thank God his wife wasn't home and his kids weren't home, and thank God he didn't have a gun or some type of weapon, because that could have went the complete opposite direction. It could have really been a difficult spot for both of us. So he called the police came, and they cuffed me. They brought me to the station, and the lieutenant, super nice guy, he was like, "So Mr. Long, what's going on?" You know, just like that, just calm and casual. And all of a sudden, you guys, I just started spitting out and just verbally, like verbal diarrhea, just saying like everything that was going on in my life at that point in time. I was like, well, you know, I believe in energy, and I watched The Secret, and it's a DVD that talks about the law of attraction, and I'm also an actor, and I believe I can manifest my own reality. And, you know, I was trying to say Barack, and this guy was just like, what is going on with this kid? He knew that something was off. And what they did was they did a thing called Section 12. So they Section 12 me to Melrose Wakefield Hospital, which was a psych ward down the street from us. And that's when I was admitted into the psych ward, basically, I don't want to say against my will, but without my permission. They just put me there. And when I was in the psych ward, I was on the first floor, where there's like maybe two to four beds where I could stay. And then they're waiting for a bed to like free up on the third or fourth floor where I could have a more extended stay. But I was lost. I had really kind of lost my mind at that point in time. And I wasn't really sure what was going on. I didn't know why I was in the psych ward. And this is where I eventually migrated up to like the third or fourth floor. And this is where things really started shifting for me, kind of the opposite direction. This is where I started leaning into depression. So they immediately put me on Depakote. Another quick side note is my mother is bipolar, so it is hereditary, supposedly. It does run in my family. But my mother's bipolar exhibited, the bipolar that she showed in my teen years, completely different than the bipolar that I exhibited. So, because again, my triggers are always the law of attraction. And again, it's still something I believe in to this day, but we'll get into that later on. So, where my mother's bipolar, they were like, oh, what is she on for medicine? And she was on Depakote, so they immediately just put me on Depakote. I forget what milligrams they put me on, but I think it was Depakote and then Risperidol or Risperidone, and it immediately knocked me out, and I slept for like 14 hours. So it did take me from a high point where I was like, blah, 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 you know, speaking like a mile a minute, and it kind of brought me down a few notches. And I slept for like 14 hours, and it felt great to sleep, because I don't think I'd slept in like a couple of days or something. So I woke up, and then a few days later my therapist came, and they kept putting me on medicine, and I just took it. I didn't know what was going on really, but I was like, well, I guess I need to be on medicine. This is what, you know, everyone's telling me to do. And my therapist came, and I'll never forget this, but we sat in a conference room, and she's like, hey, JJ, so a few things are happening. You are diagnosed bipolar 1. You have bipolar 1 disorder. We're going to have to start seeing each other on a weekly basis, and you're going to have to start seeing a psychiatrist, because you're going to be on medicine the rest of your life. And just hearing all of that at once, it just, this is what started my depressive episode. And I was like, you know what, God, like, I'm 33. Why is this happening to me? Because I think the the history shows that bipolar usually sparks in people's lives, I think like early 20s or something. I mean, it can happen any age, but I think like early 20s or something. And, why did this happen to me later on in life? I don't get it. And this is really sort of what started my depressive episode. So we'll save that for the next episode. But if this is your first time tuning in, just know that if you have mental illness, if you're dealing with mental health issues, whether it be depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, multiple personalities, suicidal thoughts, please, please, please know that you're not alone. I love you. And lean on your support systems, whether that be your family and your friends, whether that be, maybe some groups that you attend, join a meetup group that focuses around mental health illness. Just know that you're not alone, and you don't have to do it alone either. Okay, so I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you very soon in the next episode. Have a good one. Bye-bye.